And welcome back. Yes, it is Tuesday. That means it is time for the Dr. Natalie Show. Hi, everybody. I hope everything's doing well. I know we are still in this time period where, how should I put this? Sometimes we're on the same time schedule and sometimes we're not. Right now, I'm still not on the same timetable as you are, but just wait until the next weekend. This weekend here in Germany, we will actually, better believe it, we will actually also change our time to daylight savings. And I know in the US, we're talking about whether or not we're actually wanting to keep daylight savings time. So, whatever's being decided right now, as you can imagine, we're working out a couple of kinks in regards to what time is happening where and all of those fun things. So, today, as you can see, hey everybody, so nice to see you all. I don't have a guest. Why? Because sometimes I know I need to come to you just straightforward, directly, and break all of the rules about a talk show that you may anticipate. Because my talk show is always different. After all, I'm a rule breaker. And yes, there will be more guests. I got some really cool guests coming up in the near future. And yet, in between, I do want us to have a face to face conversation, so to speak, because there are sometimes things that I just feel are really, really important. You know, I care about you as an individual. I care about you being able to live your life your way. That's been something I've been working on dealing with for longer than I want to admit. And as you can imagine, I've had my own journey to do that because we all do. We all go through our little phases where sometimes everything works out perfectly, and then we are trying to assimilate, align, whatever you want to call it. And since I just use that word assimilate, I do want to mention one of my amazing, amazing mentees, love her to death. Her and I we were talking about some words, and one of the words that came up was assimilate. And I think it's a really important word. As a historian by trade, you can imagine that I've had my share of thinking about dealing with items related to assimilation. And we know very often it is encouraged. On the other hand, what actually happens if you assimilate too much? When you try too much to be like everybody else, do you really still know who you are at that point? Or is it that point where then you are just losing yourself? And if you are on that track, on that journey right now of, yeah, I'm trying to be like everybody else. Don't get me wrong, it's normal, especially when we're growing up, right? So the younger ones, I understand, we want to figure out, is this me? We have to figure it all out. I get that. We have to figure out, is that more me? Is this more me? What clothes are more me? We all have to figure it out. And by the way, that doesn't change just because you get older. There's still things that are new that I want to try out. And yet, don't ever lose yourself. Don't ever let somebody else become, as I like to call it, the conductor of your life. Because if you assimilate too much and you lose yourself, then sooner or later, and this I can guarantee, sooner or later you are going to wake up feeling empty, feeling lost, wondering who you are, where you are, and whose life this thing is that you're finding yourself in the middle of. Not to mention, you will most likely also feel like life is happening to you. Stuff is coming at you so fast, all you can do is react. You don't have time to breathe. Well, I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. And you know that here at the Los Angeles Tribune, I got to throw this in, we always, always, of course, talk about leadership. And that's really what I'm talking about, what I've been talking about, whether we call it confidence, whether we call it believe in abundance, whether we call it making it rich or going on an adventure, it doesn't matter, because in the end, it always is you leading yourself, because we lead by example. And I just wrote an article this past week about a company that is leading by example. It does the unexpected. It keeps doing the unexpected. And not only are they doing it and saying it, they're actually really walking the talk. And I think that is important. When you look around your current environment, how many people are actually doing that? I know right now, this is, TV, live streaming, whatever you want to call it. And this is my real house. Now, sooner or later, I might use a backdrop, but nothing too fancy. I'm not going to pretend that I'm somewhere in Barbados when I'm not, because where I'm at right now in Hamburg, Germany, weather's beautiful. Sometimes it's a little chilly, sometimes it's a little windy, but that is where I am, and that is who I am. So there's no pretense that you get from me, whether you like it or not. And a lot of people, when we're looking, when we're searching, we fall into the trap of the shiny object syndrome. Oh, that person has it made. Oh, this person has it made. Or that person has it made. And as you know, on this show, I always share with you, especially when I bring in guests, the real story. It's not overnight success. It's not, oh, I woke up and I had it made. No, it is always hard work. Now, years ago, when I started coaching, I was told, don't ever tell people it is work. It is. But I can also tell you that the first step is the hardest. And once you've taken that first step to freedom, from there, it's going to be a breeze. And not only is it going to be a breeze, it is actually fun. So if you're here and you're looking for success, leveling up to the next business level, making grand connections, or just having a happy life, however you define it, what is really important for you to understand, and I know you do, is that it all starts here. I've always said that. I will keep saying that. It starts here. If you don't know yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you don't appreciate yourself, nothing else will work. If you don't know yourself, you don't know what to offer in your business. If you don't know yourself, you don't know what your boundaries are. Where are your boundaries? Or you may believe in the stories other people tell you. And I've done that too, right? I mean, I deal with the subconscious mind. And so I've dove into the subconscious mind and said, there's so much potential. I think the official term is human latent potential. There's so much potential. Why don't we get it? Why don't we take it out of here and really do something with all of that potential? Something is holding us back. And what that is this. 99.999%, it is this. Now, you may not believe it, but I sort of can say, trust me on this one. Been there, done that in my own life with my clients. What I'd like to share with you really, really briefly is this little picture. Okay? Because as a leader, you actually have the power to conduct your own life, to frame your own life, to go out and create your song. Whether you want to create a symphony, a rock song, or whether, depending on the day you choose the music, all of that is perfect. I mean, just think about Goldilocks. She has rock, she has pop, she has messages in her song. She does a whole bunch of stuff outside, just as an example. So you have a lot of options. And I'm inviting you to take, as I like to say, the conductor baton back into your hand. Because somewhere along the road, you dropped it over there. And either you don't know where to find it right now, or somebody else have it. So if somebody else has it, how about you take it back? Because it is your life. And you only have this one life. And yes, I know there are a lot of people who love you, a lot of people who don't love you, and a lot of people who will tell you what is best and what is right for you. And that's all wonderful. Let's just assume they really, really deeply care about you, right? Let's assume that way. That is fantastic. Yeah, but they are not you, are they? So if they are not you, how do they know what is best for you? Really important question. And we do that very often as parents, right? We try to push our kids in certain directions. I just had that conversation with my daughter. I said, no, you, number one, you can't disappoint me as long as you are you. And number two, it's your life. If you don't like that and you want to try that, that's awesome. And if you then 3 months later say, no, this one isn't it either, great, you tried it. So like with food, I think our CEO, wonderful Mo Rock, mentioned that at one point. Try out the different foods and see what you like. You gotta keep exploring. You gotta keep an eye open to the options and don't shut the doors. So when I'm talking about you conducting your life again, it is you taking the baton back. It is you taking the reins of the horse back. It is you becoming the magician and creating your own little special soup as a cook. You do have that power. It is just right now hidden under everything. And as I talked with Helen Vandenberg last week, as you recall, I also know that there's a lot of fear. And the fear usually is the fear of the unknown. What if? And when we ask the question, what if, it is often laden with negative assumptions. Why? Robert F. Kennedy said, why not? And of course, he has it from an author. Yet it is important for us to consider that we can change, we can modify, we can reposition our questioning a little bit. And repositioning that question simply means that instead of saying, what if it's dark when I open the door with that gloomy idea, what if we said, what if it's dark and I am the candle to light up that room? It's the same scenario, right? You open a door and it's dark. And yet you have chosen to lead yourself with positivity. And with that positivity, you can now make a choice. That's what it's all about. For that, you got to, of course, figure out the blocks in yourself first. The blocks, the hesitancy, where's that coming from? And yes, I just mentioned fear of the unknown. I have had this conversation with a mentee too, just the other day. Fear of the unknown is fascinating because we didn't have it as kids. So clearly it is trained. Because remember, kids, they would like run around the corner and do whatever. They would stick their hand in the sand, not knowing what is out there. They might get bitten by a fish in the sea, but they would still do it. And then we get trained to not do it anymore. How much joy of life, joie de vivre, are we losing because of that? How much fun are we losing because we're no longer exploring, sticking our hand in the sand, not knowing what's under there? And isn't that what life is really about? Us having fun? So when you're thinking about what is my next step, we do need to look at you. And you have the power to choose what instrument you're picking every single day. And it doesn't have to be the same one every single day. You can actually pick different ones. You can pick one today, one tomorrow. I don't listen to meditation music every day. I listen to it a lot because I'm usually in a meditative state, but I also like other music and it varies. So if I wake up and I feel like listening to rock music, I'll put on rock music. There's nothing wrong with it just because of who I am, what I look like, or anything like that. It's what I feel like that day. It's awesome. And then maybe 10 minutes after that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a little much. And I turn on classical music. I have a choice because I'm leading my life and I'm listening to myself. And I understand that life is happening for me. I wish Rex Sykes was here right now. So you have a choice. You can only make a choice if you know yourself, though, right? Because if you don't know who you are or what you want, how can you make a choice? A choice that is right for you. That's the key here. You can always make a choice. The question, are you making a choice that is right for you? So, ready to take the conductor baton back into your hands and say, yes, I have a choice. I'm going to do this. That would be awesome because you are so unique. And yes, there's a little bit more work to. We all do work. I do work every day. Everybody I know works on themselves every day. It's not like digging deep every single day. That's in the early stages, but you have to deal, well, you don't have to, but we are being faced with, confronted with stuff every day. I mean, we live in this world. We live in this world, so there's stuff every day. Right now, tax season's coming up. Okay, so we have to deal with that. Right now, there's also, of course, the war in the Ukraine and many other conflicts happening. And then what may be going on in your personal life right now. So there's a lot of stuff happening in your life. That's probably something that requires your attention. If it requires your attention, you're dealing with it the best way you can. However, the best way you can only be the best for you if you know who you are and you love yourself enough to stand up for yourself. You can't do that if you assimilate too much. You can't do that if somebody else is the conductor of your life. Now, you may choose for somebody else to be the conductor of your life. That is your choice, though. You got to be aware of that. And yes, we all have been trained in a very specific way, depending on our culture, depending on our age. We're all being trained a certain way. Because living in this world means we have to assimilate at least a little bit here and there, like paying taxes. And yet, if you're open to the possibilities, and you're not looking for confirmation from the outside, magic happens. Your symphony happens. Your song happens the way you want it, when you want it. And if an instrument is not available, you pick a different one. You have a choice. And I think that's really important for us to understand as leaders of our lives. We're the leaders, we're the CEOs of our lives. And then if we have a business, we're also CEOs of that. But not everybody has to have a business. Your worth, your value does not depend on the income you make. Let me just clear that up really, really quickly. It does by no means depend on, myth busting here, on the money you make. Money is money. A person's value, a person's worth is their worth. Period. A lot of people have a lot of money. They might not be the best people you want to know. A lot of people have no money and you may want to know them, and vice versa. Money is not what makes you a good person. Abundance of the heart does. And when you have abundance of the heart based on you knowing yourself and loving yourself, you are more likely to get that financial abundance because all of that is your birthright. All of that is your birthright. Right now, we're just blocking ourselves, right? We're just saying, maybe not. Maybe we've been trained to think money's bad. I didn't say money is bad at all. Because with money, you can do a lot of good. It just doesn't determine your worth, your value. Okay? There's a difference here. Some people do think that. In some cultures, the first question people ask is, what do you do for a living? Well, does that really matter? Does that really change who I am, my job? Because the job can go like that. I'm still there. So it's something to consider. Who is running your life? If you wish to lead others in your professional careers, in your home, in a team sport, don't you first have to lead yourself? That's what I mean when I'm talking about conducting your life your way. You being the conductor of your life means you taking control. And that then means that you're weathering whatever life is providing for you. Sometimes it's going to rain, sometimes it's going to thunder. If you have filled that void from within, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Because you no longer need that outside confirmation. And in one of my other shows, I talk about happiness, and that choosing happiness means you're choosing you. For that, you need to define happiness first, for you, not for anybody else. And yes, there are people who can add to your happiness, and there are people who can detract from your happiness. But who is the person who's in both scenarios there? It's you. So you still have the power to say, I'm going to let this person into my life and this person into my life. And therefore, you also have the power and the choice to say, I don't want you in my life anymore. I don't think that you're adding to my happiness. I don't want you in my life right now or ever. And that's perfectly fine, right? That is perfectly fine. Because when I'm talking about conducting your life and you choosing your instruments, I'm also talking about people. Now, they're not instruments for you, but we all play our own tune, don't we? We all sing our own songs. We all have a different beat. And sometimes you want upbeat, and sometimes you want low beat, and sometimes you want fast, and sometimes you want slow. Again, it's also something that I talk to my daughter about. Saying, you don't need to have one best friend. You have one best friend to go to basketball. You have one good best friend to go to the dorm. You have one best friend. You have all these different people. And you don't need too many either. It's like one of my things. You don't need a bunch. You really just need 5 good people in your life that you can rely on, that know you and love you wherever you're growing and evolving into. So, which song do you wish to play today? Which song do you wish to compose today? Who are the people you want to see? And if you have an appointment with Joe X and you don't feel like seeing Joe X, would it make more sense to call Joe X and say, hey, I'm just not up for it today, versus going and then you're in a bad mood and then Joe X notices you're in a, oh my God, that energy transmission is just not going to be positive. So who are you choosing in that instance? Them, somebody else, obligation. And if you're choosing obligation, then of course the question also becomes, is that really something that the other person deserves or that you deserve? So lots to think about in this first half hour already. And as you know, when I do the show by myself, I won't go too long, but I do want to take a little break because I just love the Los Angeles Tribune. So I want to take a teeny tiny break for us. And while I'm taking that break, I'm going to invite you just to think about some of the things I just mentioned, and we're going to continue the conversation.
Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And of course, with that, we're back. Now, on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune, I do want to mention a few things that you are probably very much aware of, and yet I do want to re-mention them. Number one, what is really, really important is the fact that we have a lot of other shows. So I highly recommend that maybe you just check out some of the other shows that we have. I know Rex Sykes, of course, and I know Jeremy, the Storytelling Alchemist, and then we've got Ignite, and we've got, of course, Mr. Smile, as I like to call him. So there's a lot going on. And in addition, let's not forget that we are also hosting events that help you learn more, connect more, adventure more, live more, all of those. So we do have Think and Grow Rich, the tour, coming up June 10th to 13th. No, there is no landing page or anything like that just now. However, I want you to mark your calendars for it, because you will be able to learn a lot, to connect a lot, to get a lot of value. And that's what I always want for you. Of course, I want you to have value, as you know. And since I'm mentioning value, I also want to mention that if you wish to, I do have a free webinar coming up on April 5th. That is, in about, 2 weeks? And it's called Three Secrets to Move from Self-Judgment to Self-Love, something I've been talking about. And of course, I'd love to have you there. It's free. So again, what you got to lose, not to mention, you're going to get a lot more deep dive than some of the nuggets I'm sharing with you today, as I'm talking about you taking back the conductor baton of your life so you can actually conduct your own song, compose your own song, and have the freedom to change it any time. You can change it in the morning. You can change it in the afternoon. You can change it in the evening. You can change it depending on your mood. That is your prerogative, because it is your life. And if right now you're sitting there thinking, yeah, but how do I make the choice? Well, that's what I'm talking to you about. Maybe you need to let go for a little bit, or close the door to all those other instruments and people in your life who think they can make a decision for you. Maybe you have lost the ability to just follow your gut, follow your instinct. Our instinct is the most precise compass you have. If, big if you know how to use it. And big if, it doesn't get convoluted by all of that stuff that we've been trained to do, all of the baggage that we're carrying. That's why we sometimes walk like this. There are lots of opportunities for you to connect with others, to have wonderful relationships, to scale your business, to thrive in a beautiful home and be the best mom, be the best dad. Any of that is not possible if you feel a void here. If you are not happy with yourself, you are the most important person in your life, regardless of what anybody else has told you. And that doesn't mean you're mean to others or you're always, egocentrically picking yourself. No. But just think about it. If you're unhappy, who else around you can actually be happy? It's a fair question to ask. And when somebody asks you, why do you choose yourself? Then maybe you need to ask them, because I would like to share happiness. I would like to share my song with them. I would actually like to be the light in the dark room. And I know it's scary. I know it's scary initially because we've been trained differently. We've been trained to hold back our brilliance, to not share it as much. And yes, there's also cultural difference. In the US, we tend to toot our own horn a bit more, especially in a job search. In most of Europe, we do less of that. We let our certificates sort of speak for ourselves. But it's not about certificates. It is about who you are at your core, and that you know who you are at your core. Because if you don't know who you are at your core, then nobody else does. So again, if you want to have a big scaled business, if you want to speak on big stages, if you want to be the best cook in the world, you need to allow your own brilliance to feed you. Therefore, you need to accept your own brilliance. And therefore, you need to conduct your own life. Very, very simple circle I just showed you, right? Very simple circle. It just is a little hard to get started, and I know that. That's why the baton may be sitting right there in front of you, and you're hesitant. It feels like it's 2,000 miles away. And you're worried about picking it up. And that's the fear. That's the fear that we have been trained to have. Fear is not real. Fear is always looking at the negative. Fear is, ready, you not trusting yourself. That's a nugget for today. If you're afraid, you're not trusting yourself. There were lots of things that I used to be afraid of, by the way. Not lots, but there were some things that I used to be afraid of. And I had a hard time conquering them. I mean, my family can tell you some of the things. I was like, oh, I can't do this. I was like, too big things. Well, I did some work. I did some work on myself. Some energy work, a lot of spiritual work. I'm really, really nicely connected to all my spiritual world. Very spiritual. Very spiritual. That's why when I do work with people, there's always that spiritual aspect. That spiritual aspect is the glue that holds you together. It's that bubble that we live in. Whatever spirituality, brand, line, idea you have, doesn't matter. We need that spiritual aspect in our lives to bring it all together. That helps us actually love ourselves and trust ourselves. And so there were things that I was afraid of, absolutely. And I had no explanation why. Then I started deep diving into myself. It might sound weird, but I did that. I dove deep into myself. And in that dive, I saw a lot of things from past lives, whether you believe in it or not. I saw past lives. I could connect the dots. And then I had to connect spiritually, and I had to reconnect with myself, just like hundreds of other people. I had to reconnect with myself and relearn to love myself. And when all that happened, now I trust myself, whatever comes. Because life is happening for me, right? So whatever life throws at me, I know life is only throwing stuff at me that are good for me, that are going to teach me, that help me evolve. So I'm ready. And I know I can handle it. I trust myself. That's what I want for you. But for that might be a little bit of work. So now I'm no longer afraid. So if you have fear, you don't trust yourself. And yes, side tour. Absolute side tour real quick. Ready? I know that there are wars going on. I know that there is a lot of bad stuff going on. And yes, I do stand with Ukraine in as much or as little as I can do. And I am not going to add to the fear energy. War is horrible. It's devastating. I love Bruce Springsteen's rendition of War, the song. Breaks my heart every time. And that's what I'm thinking right now. And I'm not going to add fear or anxiety to the energy. I know it may sound crazy, but I know there are also a lot of people out there who understand what I'm saying. I'm going to contribute positivity and peace energy to this. And by the way, that is the hard road, not the easy road. The easy road is going with the fear and not exploring where it comes from and what you can do about it. And I feel for the people in the Ukraine. I feel for anybody who's experiencing any kind of hardship, because I'm empathic and I'm intuitive, and most of all, I'm human. And at the same time, I'm going to say it again. Fear then means that you don't think you can handle it. So I invite you to fill that void, to stop asking for others to acknowledge you, and take the conductor baton back into your hands and lead your life your way, because your time is now. Ladies and gentlemen, your time is now, especially in times like this where there is so much fear and anxiety. I know you feel it. Let's now make a choice to go within and to return to loving ourselves, to knowing ourselves, so we can trust ourselves and be the positive impact that we are here to be. Lead your life like that brilliant, shining beacon of light that you are. Take that conductor baton back. Take that cooking spoon back that you're mixing your own special type of life soup with. The world needs you the way you are. You're here for a reason. Stop being afraid of your own amazing, unique self. And stop giving away your power. Reclaim your power. Reclaim that conductor baton. And I know for some people that is difficult. I understand that. But you're not alone. I've been there. Others have been there. And we're here, if at all possible, to help you, to assist you, to share our stories. That's what this show today is all about. Me sharing a little bit of my story, my beliefs that you see. We all go through stuff, and we all have a choice. And the choices are not always easy, but they're beautiful. There's an Italian saying, I'm going to probably paraphrase it really, really badly. Mea culpa. Life is beautiful. Nobody said beautiful means easy. No, but it's beautiful at every step of the way, because we get to evolve at every step of the way. We get to move from self-love, as we were filled with when we were born, to somehow being trained to love others more than ourselves. And that's the point where we wake up, where we go, whoa, something's missing. Whose life am I living? What is going on here? And at that point, you say, hold on a second. I remember how important I am. I remember. And I deserve to actually live my life. I deserve to actually follow my birthright. And in that, I deserve to be happy, my way happy. My way happy. And I get to choose. I get to choose the song of the day. I get to choose the music of the day. And I get to choose whether or not I want to sing today, or whether maybe I just prefer to, let's just say, have some kind of classical music in the back. Doesn't matter. I have a choice. I always have a choice. And so when I have that choice, that's the brilliance. That's the light that you bring to this world. Leadership. The LA Tribune, we talk about leadership. And it all starts with leadership of self. And that's why I invite you to take your own hand and step up to the podium, the conductor's podium. And on that conductor's podium, take back that conductor's baton and play. Play your song without apologies, without excuses, because it's your song. It's your symphony. It's your life. And if you are afraid, remember, life is happening for you. It's happening for you. It's happening with you. It is happening so you can evolve. And that's all I got for you today. It's a beautiful Tuesday. Next week, we're back on the regular timetable because Europe is also doing daylight savings. And from there on, we'll have to figure it out because the US is doing all sorts of explorations into keeping or not keeping daylight saving time. Do want to, again, just mention, keep your calendars out for June 10th through June 13th. Think and Grow Rich Tour. Also, I invite you to actually, yes, figure out right now, what is your song today? What is the sound of your day today, this moment, because it may change in 5 minutes. Make time for you today to figure out when you get up, when you open your eyes, what is the sound? Maybe it's the birds singing. Maybe it's nature sounds. I don't know. I don't care. It's your life. But take back that conductor baton. And when you take back that conductor baton, just be really, really sure to keep it. Hey, Dan. By the way, I do want to talk to you, Dan. Just a heads up, I do want to talk to you. So everybody, whatever it is that you're doing, keep doing it if you're doing it your way. Frank Sinatra was absolutely right. Do it your way. That's the trick, and that's why you are here. So I hope to see you next Tuesday. Same place, same place, same time, whatever that means right now, 5 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Central European time. And feel free to join me at, of course, in my Facebook group, or obviously on the webinar that I have on the 5th of April. Would love to see you there because we're going to dive much deeper into things there. And yes, the Facebook group that I do have, Be Your Conductor, is not just open for women. It's also open for gentlemen. I will see you all later. And Diamond, I'll talk to you soon. I sent you a DM as well. I will talk to you all later. I hope you are going to create a magnificent song today. Bye, everybody.